Palestine, land of the Bible, land of three great faiths steeped in historic tradition. When the people of the Bible were flung out and dispersed over the four corners of the earth, Palestine became the scene of conflict and rivalry. For 2,000 years it has existed. Today, administered as a British-mandated territory, it is the scene of the most wonderful of modern pioneering enterprises, the revival of the Jewish national home. Haifa, gateway to Palestine, terminal of the oil pipeline carried across the desert from Iraq, British naval base and Mediterranean ports has been built up largely through Jewish effort and initiative. 2,000 years ago, this was a land flowing with milk and honey. 20 years ago, it was covered with large stretches of sand, unrelieved by even a single blade of grass. Today, these luscious green-orange groves give beauty and life to this historic country. The plain of Jezreel, stretching from Haifa on the west to the Jordan, is now alive with Jewish agricultural settlements. A generation ago, malarial swamps covered the valleys between the hills in vociferous stagnation, giving life only to the mosquito. Idealism and sacrifice spurred young Jewish pioneers to cooperative effort in clearing the marsh. Settlements and cooperative farms now flourish, giving a livelihood to thousands of eager workers. The settlements most common here are of the communal type. The members pool their labor power and own the estate collectively. This settler, who helped to found the first settlement 30 years ago, looks out over a generation of pioneering work. He remembers this, the Jordan Valley, when it was still called Death Spot. Swamp has been drained and the valley is now in blossom. He and his comrades have laid the foundations. Youth must carry on. More settlements like this, Tigania, the first to be established, must be brought into being all over the country. The land needs the people need the land. They must be brought together. This avenue of cypress trees in the valley of Jezreel, this communal settlement midway between Tel Aviv and Gaza, this modern estate in the Jordan Valley, all are landmarks in the recent history of Jewish settlement in Palestine. This great endeavor was started by young men and women from all parts of the globe and from all classes, inspired by the Zionist ideal of creating a national home for the one homeless people in the world, the Jews. So successful have they been that tens of thousands of refugees have found a future in the national home. In agriculture, the young pioneers are showing an aptitude for farming that would have done credit to their forefathers. Women are not only to be found in the kitchen, in the fields, in the groves and vineyards, in the factories and workshops. Jewish women take an equal share with the men in this unique creative enterprise. The Sea of Galilee, the jewel of northern Palestine. In ancient times, the men of Galilee were famous as fishermen. Today, Jewish pioneers who have settled at En Gep on the eastern shore of the lake have revived this ancient calling. In the last few years, Nazi propaganda in the Near East has inflamed hatred in Palestine, adding greatly to the burden of the Jewish settlers. In addition to battling against the rigors of disease and the eastern sun, they have had to stand on constant guard, defending their homesteads from attack by roving bands. An agricultural laborer by day, the pioneer has been turned into a watchman by night. Scythe in one hand, rifle in the other, he has gone about his work undaunted by danger. Many lives have been lost, but not an inch of land abandoned. Trained in intricate methods of defending the settlements, a fine body of intrepid young Jewish watchmen has sprung up, with a yeoman record of service over the past 3 years, so that such peaceful conditions can exist. This pastoral scene might have been set in the heart of England. Guards on patrol give the only sign of ever-present danger. Outwardly, everything looks calm. These young men and women go about their daily work in the fields without concern, knowing that an organized system of defense is operating continually for their protection. The pioneers carry on the work of building up a national home, laying down roads, beating out new tracks in the desert. Although for 8 months of the year the ground is dry and arid, work has to be done in readiness for the rainy season. In order to be free from molestation or ambush, the ever-watchful guard is an essential adjunct to the work. No side of agricultural life is neglected. Poultry farming has of recent years taken an important place on the credit side of the settlement budget. Beekeeping also has been developed into a lucrative sideline, at which these land girls have become experts. The main feature of the defense arrangement is the watchtower, erected in the center of the estate. The technique of defense has been perfected by the youth of Palestine. At night, the searchlight on the tower keeps marauders on the other side of no man's land. Behind this line, the work goes on. The great task of building a homeland to offer the Jews an opportunity of living the lives of ordinary free people, unpersecuted and unhunted. To give Jewish youth something to which they may look forward, to afford a haven for refugees. Youth. On youth depends the future of their people. They must continue this great creative adventure. A new saga in pioneer colonization is about to be written. With this 30-year-old settlement as inspiration, the Jewish youth of modern Palestine will beat out new tracks in the memory-ridden wilderness. Every stagnant inch must be reclaimed. But attacks by raiders have recently added to the hardships of nature. When a new settlement is established, it must withstand attack from the very first day of occupation. A system of defense has been evolved in which these experienced settlers play an important part. When the proposed site has been marked out, members of established settlements in the vicinity move off to congregate in the village nearest the scene of the latest colonizing adventure. From all around they come, men who have themselves previously made pioneering history. By car, lorries and wagons, they all move to the assembly point, the point from which, in the still of night, they will set out to roll back still further the carpet of desert waste. There is much preparatory work to be done, and for each boy and girl there is a special job. The arrival of the various groups at the assembly point is the signal for general activity. The new settlement must be made impregnable from the first day. Everything must be prepared beforehand. A stockade cannot be built at leisure in the wilds. Portable stockades, bungalows, watchtower, pillboxes, made in sections, all are constructed at this appointed meeting place. These sections, appropriately marked so that they can be easily assembled, are piled onto lorries. In a few hours, these impersonal blocks of wood will become the ramparts of Palestine's latest Jewish settlement. And here are the youths who will plow, sow, reap, build, and add yet another brick to the great national edifice of Jewish Palestine. In these collapsible bungalows, the pioneers will sleep on the first night, secure behind the barricades and the vigilant eye of the watchman. But that is a few hours hence. At present, they are inanimate components of a portable village that will soon spring to life. Now the main concern is to get them fitted into lorries with the utmost economy. Behind this adventure of building a settlement in a single day lie months of hard work, careful thought, detailed preparation. The watchtower, focal point of the settlement, is the hallmark of the new pioneering adventure. When erected, it will look very much like an oil derrick. On its platform, a searchlight will be mounted, throwing out a beam of light onto the surrounding wilderness. This new settlement will broaden the base of Palestine's economy. It will assure a creative future for the young members of this estate. And with its development, it will offer a haven for the many young Jews outside Palestine, whose only future at present lies in the dark cell of the concentration camp, or the hard, cruel road of the wandering refugee. Here they will live and work in freedom, flashing out like the light from this watchtower, a beam of progress in the wilderness. These men and women, faces bronzed and hardened by sun and desert wind, will tomorrow open a new chapter in the history of Palestine settlement. Doctors, lawyers, clerks, shopkeepers, they have rallied from all over the world to take part in this collective adventure. The setting of the sun, the moment of departure, draws near. There is a last feverish spurt as the convoy prepares to move off. 2 a.m. Lorries and trucks, an entire village on their backs, set out into the desert. 3 a.m. On they go, one close behind the other, the guards maintaining a constant vigil. 4 a.m. On through the night, hurrying so that the precious light of the new day isn't wasted. 5 a.m. Daybreak finds them on the threshold of their new settlement, the dawn of a new life, the promised land. The settlers pause a moment to take in the vision. They are thinking of the green fields that will soon cover this waste. But no time for daydreaming. There's work to be done. By sundown, they must have completed the construction of an embryo village. First item on the agenda is the fence, an intricately woven wall of wire, 4 feet in depth and 6 feet high, erected round the site. Soon the buildings will arrive, and before the sun is much higher, will rise behind this ring of defense. Unloading, carrying sections of each building to their appointed places marked out on a chart prepared beforehand. And as they work, more lorries arrive. Around the outer edge of the settlement, and 12 feet within the wire fence, is erected this double-walled stockade, with apertures like Norman embrasures for the rifles of the guard. The space between the wooden walls is filled with stone and gravel, rendering the barricade bulletproof. Many lives have been saved by this device, and many a bullet intended for a softer repository lies embedded in the gravel of a settlement stockade. The walls are 8 feet high, and there is a 6-inch space between them. 4 tons of stone are poured into every 12 feet length. 7 a.m. The watchtower of the new settlement has arrived. As it is slowly moved into position, willing hands hasten to unload this symbol of inspiration to the new pioneers. The bungalows follow. Among them is one hut to serve as a dining room and communal hall. Meetings of the General Assembly will be held here to discuss vital matters affecting the whole community. To erect the tower section by section, one on top of the other, would take time and require costly cranes and pulleys, none of which these settlers possess. The sections are thus fitted together on the ground, lashed with ropes, and at a given signal, 70 workers, acting in concert, pull the giant derrick into position. It is a skillful job, but the older hands have had experience of more than 50 such jobs. Is in position. The new village is taking shape. Coveted experience is the initial glimpse from the tower. This young girl eagerly clambers up to be the first to reach the top. And now to the other buildings. A few hours ago, these bungalows were just a bunch of jigsaw puzzles on a lorry. The component parts are being pieced together to give 4 walls and a roof to the young settlers. Other preliminaries continue. Water supply to be installed, trenches to be dug on the outer edge of the settlement, the sections of the tower to be adjusted and secured. Completing the ring of the settlement's defenses, a ring of stone to safeguard civilization against the desert, all to be completed before nightfall. Between 1936 and 1939, 3 years during which raiding attacks were a constant feature of Palestinian life, no less than 54 Jewish settlements were created in this way throughout the length and breadth of the country. 12 noon and the first stage is over. With it come Arabs from the nearby village to welcome their new Jewish neighbors. They bring greetings to the inhabitants of this 7-hour-old village. They're surprised. It wasn't on the map this morning. The Arab Mukhtar, the headman, has ridden over, and the youngsters wish they could join the fun. After a busy morning, they have their first break. A cup of cooling fruit juice is welcome. Only a short break is possible. There is still much to be done before sundown. The face of the stockade is not directly broken to effect an entrance. One end of the southern wall is made to overlap the other in accordance with the principle of fortress construction, giving access without weakening defense. While buildings are going up, the plow gets to work. Perhaps the ruins of some ancient synagogue lie beneath, buried by the dust of ages. Armed guards watch with interest as the plowshare turns the first furrow. An agricultural settlement is being reborn. During the day, watchmen maintain contact with the settlement. On the tower, trained signalers are continually receiving and transmitting messages to and from the defense units. By heliograph, they relay to the mother colony news that a start has been made. From another settlement not far off come friends to lend a helping hand. They set to applying the finishing touches to the new structure. By 4 p.m. the defense posts are completed. The tower is up, and the new settlement provides a background of permanence to the Arab neighbors driving their cattle back in the setting sun. As night approaches, come the first signs that an attack is imminent. The guard on the tower informs the Mukhtar in charge, who calls the workers together to tell them the grim news and warn them to be prepared against all surprises. With the lengthening shadows, anything can happen. Ambush, long-range attack, a surprise rush, anything. They gather round and wait for instructions. This youth, who may one day be supervising the erection of a new settlement himself, rushes out too to hear the orders. Human lives depend on the success of the defense arrangements, and the chief is deadly serious as he raps out his instructions. Now, each to your post. The defense plan has been carefully studied by each settler long before they arrive here. They run to their appointed stations. Women also do their bit. They rush to carry out their orders. Each must be thinking of the two boys who were shot dead during an attack on the very first night of the founding of the first of this type of settlement. These young lives must not be wasted. With the pioneers of the present rests the future. Men take up trench positions between the stockade and the wire fence. Until the settlement is completed, these wooden huts must act as pillboxes. Meanwhile, the Morse signalers on the tower make contact with the mother colony. In daylight, the heliograph is operated by the reflection of the sun's rays. At night, a flash lamp is used. The message received is short and urgent. The new settlement is in danger. They're being attacked. Help wanted quickly. Reserve watch out. A hurried rush for their rifles. They pile into the armored car as it noses its way southward. Let's hope we won't have to do this too often in the dark, is what they're all thinking. Though even now they've got to be on the alert. All is ready. The lookout men report the approach of the armored car. Reinforcements are at hand. A flash to the mother colony. Thanks, they're just arriving. We'll report progress later. Okay, that was right. As a matter of fact, it was a rehearsal. But when the real thing happens, we won't have any more warning. We must know right now what we've to do, and just how long we've got to hold out before help arrives. The day is capped by the evening meal, and welcome it is too. Out in the open, within sight of their handiwork, the settlers sit informally around the long tables. They sit down together, one large, happy, pioneering family, reveling in this collective adventure. Jews from all over the world, old and young. Youth goes up to take over. He looks out over the waste and wonders how soon this also will be covered by orange groves, gardens, and cypress trees, as in the mother colony. And he's thinking, too, of the sacrifices that will be demanded and freely given. From dawn to sunset, a new settlement. The yearnings of 2,000 years find expression in the work of a single day. With youth lies the future of the Jewish people in their national home.